Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. Happy Easter. Today, I thought I'd bring you up to speed. There's so many requests of what's been taking place in the Conservative Party, the NDP, and BC One. You know, I'm running for your commander-in-chief here for my great city, Abbotsford, to forensic audit and open the city books on what took place on my residence, threats on my life, but especially to remove the Abbotsford PD that covered up a hit and run. Today, I stand again at former MLA's Michael de Jong's office, and I want to clarify to Abbotsford voters. I haven't personally had a chat to the Conservative contender, Yuri, personally, but he knows who I am. And he knows I'm true blue and I'm a Conservative. Abbotsford's worked very hard with me after we saw what Henry did through the temples, through the churches and everything to show what was taking place with establishment, especially when Henry had council and threatened residents, the majority of them in his house, winning decision. It was no longer a city. I learned from Henry's son that the churches, the temples, and all the establishments in Abbotsford, Henry was pulling votes. Today, that time has changed. Thanks to their residents and them churches and outlets, now they vote the right way. So I want to clarify something to you. There's a fight with what do I think as Abbotsford residents, being the riding of Langley, Abbotsford, Mission, Chilliwack, and Aldergrove, the biggest riding. What do I think about BC One and Yuri joining BC One? And where do I stand on it? I'm all for that. I'm proud to say to BC One, I stand before, and I'll make it that with the BC One partnering up with the Conservative Party, Yuri, it will make sure that somebody holds their feet to the fire in Victoria and make sure the captain of the boat can't steer that boat into a mountain because BC One controls the rudder. And that's what you need. We've seen too many parties take too much when they got a full slate and do damage. So what are I here today for in front of the MLA's office? There's a big fight that this was no joke, they said, that Kevin Falcon endorsed Caroline Elliott and it was an April Fool's joke. Make no mistake, let me clarify something to you all. Kevin Falcon became the leader of the BC Liberals after Andrew Wilkinson, and him and Caroline Elliott and others changed the BC Liberals that were falling to the BC United and made it look like it was a BC Conservative Party. Kevin Falcon owns that party and is control of it for 4 years. He's on his last term of it. Now with Peter Millibard, Caroline Elliott, and Ian Black, all going after the BC Conservative leadership. So let me explain something what will happen. If they do not get that control of the BC Conservative Party to be the leader because they see the NDPs collapsing, they're going to go back to the AGM meeting and they're going to sit down and they're going to say, okay, Kevin Falcon, this is the way it's going to go. You're going to be out of controlling the old BC Liberals because he didn't drop the registered name, and the BC United, and we're going to come in and we're going to run candidates and green light who we want. The danger also is if Peter Millibard, our Kevin Falcon's sister-in-law, get elected to our BC Conservatives, a guy like Corky Neufeld probably won't get the green light. He won't get green light. Probably Bruce Banman won't get the green lighting because the leader gets to say who's running. Armin Bangdu's caused so much trouble, and you could see it. Aaron Gunn was behind Armin Bangdu for the leadership, and when Armin Bangdu pulled out, Aaron Gunn did not go and back Caroline Elliott because she was a Liberal. He pulled out, causing turmoil in his camp, and which caused internal fighting. Then also, if it's Peter Millibard or Caroline Elliott or Ian Black, they'll say Rianne ain't going to get that. They get to choose. leaving the Conservatives in a very dangerous place. Do we go over to BC One now and cross the floor to protect ourselves. That's what's probably going to happen, because that'll what take place. And what are we going to get? Remember Dave Sidhu and Marcus Dalvis, who went around cheating in Abbotsford, had the BC United coat on in the city when he wasn't allowed to, and it's the city council, will probably be given another golden opportunity to run for the BC United and green lighted. And what will that be? So the BC United Kevin Falcon has in that party 1 million contact points. That means the same as Henry Brown when he wouldn't give me the by-election or the electoral list, meaning I could phone you and say, listen, I'm running for the party, would you like to get behind me? So he has that 1 million contact points, which probably maybe Caroline Elliott will go in and take over the BC United. What will that do? Then they're going to run him against the Conservatives strongly, these candidates, and then collapse the Conservative Party polling votes and giving the NDP a win. Now, where do I stand on BC 1? With BC 1 taking that leadership and tagging up with Yuri, it also makes aware of it that BC 1 now will hold this man accountable as official opposition. And that there is why Abbotsford residents have not put up too much fight to say we're with BC 1 as well as we're with our Conservative friends, because we need that competition and we need it. Now we're looking at the BC debate for the Conservatives, and we learned that Peter Millibard and Caroline Elliott pulled and withdrawed from the debate. They didn't withdraw. It's a Conservative riding, so they can't go there. And they can't. So what's it call upon? We saw Bruce Banman go behind our Conservative friends. I told you for $25 it takes you to get up. There's 13 days left. Make your voice counted so this never happens again in our city. We need to make sure that this never takes place, what Henry Braun did in our city. That when you walk into that MLA's office and say, I was threatened by the mayor, and the mayor told me with the Abbotsford police to drop a video, and the mayor got in his car and ran you over, that MLA won't be his friend and won't be tied to our city and say what the heck's going on and call it out loud and clear in the ledge so we get the RCMP in. This is why Abbotsford and myself work so hard to make sure these offices get away from them mayorships, because them mayors were backloading for developers. Today, I want to make something clear. You have that chance, which will probably never come back around again, to make sure that you count. You got to go down and take a membership, whether it's for the BC 1 to get behind them or the BC Conservatives, and make sure that in this vote that the Liberals are outlined and outcasted out of that. They've caused so much turmoil, and we can see it with Aaron Gunn not going now and distance itself from Harman. Harman Bangdu said he was a grassroots Conservative. Why the heck would he go in behind Caroline Elliott? Why would he do that? It shows you with Aaron Gunn pulling out, Aaron Gunn said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to endorse her, and I'm not going to go behind her. But it also calls for the person that's the most famous in the Conservative Party, my friend John Rustad, to get behind this candidate as a true Conservative and put your differences aside to make sure that the Liberals don't take that commandership. But it also makes sure that Corky Neufeld better be telling his voters and better be aware of what's coming, because there's no other circumstances from what's hitting the ground, and you can hear it through these ears, that if Peter Millibard or Caroline Elliott's in, the Liberals are going to get clean. Maybe Mike DeYoung will get to come back and run here as a Liberal MLA again. So this is what will take place. So we cannot make a mistake and allow our BC Conservative Party to be taken over by Liberals and be run by Liberals. And you can see it. The writing's on their walls. And it's very clear of what's taking place here. There's so much crying that Peter Millibard says that the election should be now stopped and investigated because this man took over. It ain't. Abbotsford residents were the one that started this, because Henry Brown said, when I get political, I get mean. Through Henry's son, we could learn all the backroom deals and the dirty stuff that was getting people elected unfairly by using chambers of commerce and using media outlets locally to flash it around. And started working very hard to say, when I walk into my MLA's office, my MLA's got to hold my hand and help me, especially with seniors. They weren't just get me elected next week or next term, and I'll do that. So I want to make something clear to Peter Millibard, Ian Black, that's got help by Ed Fast, the Conservative MP, that was ousted by Suk Mangill, and Caroline Elliott. If Henry Brown wouldn't have got in his car and tried to end my life, I wouldn't have reached to my churches, to pastors, to temples and everything and say, let's put a stop to it. And let's put a stop to all Henry's friends, Mike DeYoung, Marion Keys, and everybody is involved in Kevin Falcon. So it would be fair that you're looking at Caroline Elliott going to the AGM meeting and say Kevin Falcon's 1-year term's up. And this is who we're going to elect in the BC United Party to run these candidates and run strong against the BC Conservatives and run them strong. And why is that? Because the Liberals rather have the NDP in than the BC Conservative. And that's what they'll do, and they're going to do it. And I want to make sure that we understand something. For $25, wherever you put that, behind BC One or behind this BC Conservative candidate, you got to make sure that you're true blue, and you got to make sure this is called out. And if you think that Kevin Falcon, being Caroline Elliott's brother-in-law, is not helping and driving that ship, you're mistaken. The undercurrent is so bad from riding to riding, it's unbelievable. There's even shockwaves I hear in the federal Conservatives not to endorse and get beside these candidates because of the outturn what's going to come. And you can see that. But don't forget this. Abbotsford worked hard to put Suk Mangill in here at the federal Conservatives of after what Ed, Mike, and Henry were doing. And we're going to work hard. And we're going to work hard from riding and make sure whatever takes place, this man gets our vote and is number one after John Rustad got ousted. And we need to make sure our Conservative Party now is held accountable. And I believe truly, with BC One there, that they're going to hold that ship, of course, on the BC Conservatives. And that is what you need official opposition for. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia. Former Mike DeYoung's office, Corky Neufeld. I'd start worrying about your own riding. And if you see Peter Millibard at the helm, going to his rallies and going to his things, doesn't mean nothing, because the backdoor people are going to say, oust him out and let Dave Sidhu run for the BC Conservatives if he gets that leadership. And that's what's going to take place. You're going to be hitting the road and finding a new job here in Abbotsford. And Abbotsford residents won't help you because you had plenty of warning to put a stop on it, and you're sitting in the chair figuring, oh, if I go beside him, he's going to save me. It's not going to happen. They had turned this party inside out, and Abbotsford residents and voters are going to put a stop to it. Happy Easter. Former Mike DeYoung's office, Corky Neufeld, live, Abbotsford, British Columbia.